Hello, everyone, and welcome to The Build Show. I'm John Peitzman, JP, Certified High Performance Coach and creator of the Build Framework. I work with individuals and teams all over the world to help them thrive in their personal and professional lives. And as your host on this show, our aim is to help transform lives one guest at a time. And we do that how? By having amazing guests. And today is no different. We have with us Ush Dhanak. Ush is one of Australia's leading experts on emotional intelligence, otherwise known as EQ, and a popular keynote speaker on this topic at events around the world. Born in the UK, Ush is a barrister by trade, and after moving to Sydney over 16 years ago, she decided to dive deep into the world of EQ. She is certified and trained in emotional intelligence and also neuro leadership. In addition to that, she is a qualified mediator. You will also find her co-hosting the successful podcast show IQ Meets EQ, which interviews successful women throughout Australia who use the power of EQ. It's my privilege to have her with us here today. Ush, welcome to the Build Show.
Thank you, JP.
So great to have you here. And I mean, let's start with a little bit more about your story and maybe what you're excited about right now as you sit here with us today.
Yeah, look, just to share the passion of EQ, it's what I live, it's what I breathe. I was crap at it when I started. I probably had the lowest emotional intelligence probably known to anyone. And
they say we study what we need the most, right? And then we teach what we actually need to know the most.
Exactly.
So that's incredible.
So yeah, no, just love the journey I'm on and just want to impact, similar to what you said, as many people as I can and empower them.
Right,
yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And what are you excited about mostly right now in your life?
At the moment, growth. So, growing the business, growing myself at the moment is a really big thing for me. But I'm just excited about my sort of theme for the year is surrender. I'm actually getting a tattoo on my neck.
Really?
Yeah.
That actually says surrender, or is it a character that represents surrender?
No, it's
going to be pretty clear.
Surrender in Sanskrit, though.
So, in Sanskrit, okay.
Yeah.
Great.
So it's a case of not having control. It's surrendering to what's going to happen this year and what's going to unfold and embrace it.
Right.
Yeah.
Amazing. A lesson for all of us, for sure.
I know.
Especially in this upcoming year.
And like being high IQ, it's so easy to want that control.
Right.
So I'm going to embrace it this year and let go.
Yeah. I love the IQ meets EQ kind of theme that you have with the podcast. And you said there's a book coming out with that?
There is, yeah. So we're going to have a book on the 21 women that we've interviewed in the podcast. So
awesome.
To really share, inspire, and share people's journeys.
Right.
Yeah.
Great. Well, I love having you here. As you know, we use the Build framework as kind of a model for our conversation, and what I love about that is that everyone's story is unique, right?
Yes.
And everyone's answers are different, even though the framework is the same. And for those of you who don't yet know what the Build framework is, it's an acronym. B stands for Build Relationships, U is Understand the Business, I is Implement Strategies, L is Lead and Inspire, and D, of course, is Deliver Excellence. And again, what I love about this show is that we have opportunities to talk to individuals as wonderful and amazing as yourself to really go through what Build has meant for them in their journey. And we start obviously with B, building relationships. So what are some of the most kind of critical key relationships that you've had in your journey that you'd like to share with our listeners today?
Yeah, look, I think the biggest one for me was when I wanted to leave my corporate career. And I woke up one day and I quit work. I literally resigned at like 11 o'clock in the morning.
Right.
I remember coming home, watching daytime Dr. Phil, going, what the hell am I going to do with my life?
Did you call Dr. Phil and ask him?
I wanted to, yeah. And then I was like, right, I need a coach, right?
Okay.
And found this amazing coach who specialized in emotional intelligence. And
oh, really? Okay.
He really taught me a lot about what EQ meant and how I can live and breathe it. Now, what he did teach me afterwards is something I never want to do. So learned a lot from him, and what happened is we built this amazing relationship. I joined his company and started working with him. And then what I started to realize was that I felt trapped. So the irony was I actually sought him out to get that freedom and leave the corporate world.
And then get more caged.
And I got more caged
again, right.
working with him. And the reason was he was trying to mold me into a mini him.
Right.
And it was almost like, I've done this. This is the way. This way works, Ush. This is the way you need to do it. And I'm like, I want to be me.
Right.
I want to do it my way.
Take it and apply that wisdom and make it my own.
Yeah. Right. And, as they say, each individual person is you. Your unique superpower is you. So that sort of lesson has really taken me through life. And I think as I grow my business and I bring people on board, he's really taught me to let people be the uniqueness that they are. and learn from them too. So I think, I need to thank him for that he's, let
Thank
me,
you.
Yeah,
You're out
thank
there,
you.
I'm sure, watching this. Right.
He's taught me to fly and, not be afraid to push back on things if I don't agree with it.
Right.
So I think that relationship's been huge in my life.
Right. So it wasn't necessarily a positive relationship. I mean, it was, but then it turned into something else.
Yeah.
But the lesson there is that we can learn a lot from the relationships that kind of have a hard patch as well, right?
Yes, exactly.
Right.
And at the end of the day, he taught me something. So, I'm forever grateful for that.
Yeah, because you've applied it. And that makes sense too, because we can learn things and then not apply it.
Exactly.
But when you apply it, it can make all the difference.
Yeah,
Great.
that's right.
Cool.
Yeah.
So how about you understand the business, right? So there's so many understandings that I'm sure you have about growth and business in general, or emotional intelligence, which is your specialty. What are some understandings you think that are key to share with the listeners today?
So many.
Yes, I know. Top one, two, or three.
Top 1, 2, or 3. I think for me, it's really trusting myself and my passion for what I want to do. And sometimes I think we get so caught up in trying to mold a service or a business because we think that's what people want to see because it's the perfect looking business, and I think for me, that whole build thing is about build what's true to your heart.
Right.
And the moment that you build something that you are passionate about, people will come, right?
Yeah.
And I think sometimes we have it the wrong way. We sometimes build this thing and we go, I want to build it with this outcome in mind.
Because we're using our head, not our heart,
Yeah,
right? Which
exactly.
is the IQ versus the EQ.
Yeah, and you build and you go, I want it to be successful. I want to make X amount of money. I want to work with these types of people, which is all great. Have those goals, be really clear, but don't lose the essence of why you wake up every day to do what you want to do.
Right.
And I think for me, that's that build element of what I want to build. I never want to lose that. And I never want to steer, away from my path because of what society or culture or, the trend dictates.
Right.
Like I've sort of stayed true to my passion of EQ and neuro leadership, and I know that there'll be people out there that want it.
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And you do that then, sounds like in your personal and professional life, right? Because you kind of marry the two and merge the two.
Absolutely.
Right?
And I think, in the personal life, it's all about being authentic and being true to who you are. And, you go through journeys, you go through life with experiences. I've just recently got divorced after 21 years.
Right.
And it's just interesting to see how that has impacted people, how I feel I may need to shift or hold space for them or comfort them. And I'm like, no, I can't do that. I need to be me. And I'm going to be me, and the right people will stay, and the ones that go, it's okay, because it will make room for other relationships to be built.
Right. Because as long as you're on your path, then you'll attract what is most beneficial to your
100%.
path.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
That's amazing. How about I, just moving through it, right? So we have B, U, I, implement strategies. So what are some strategies that you've implemented that have made, all the difference for you?
So for me, it's really important to have a little bit of a structure in how I start my day.
Right.
And I think that really, really sets me up well. It's like, I meditate every morning, I journal, I have a moment of a reflection and gratitude for the day ahead. And a smoothie, something healthy and tasty.
Asterisk smoothie.
Yes, exactly. And I think just set myself up for success for the day, have gratitude. I'm big on embracing the challenges of the day as well. So I'm not fearful of what's going to come in and take me off my path that day. It's a case of I'm prepared, like whatever's going to come is going to come. So definitely having a really good morning routine is really important. And then I think it's a case of implementation of what you learn. So, you know this being a coach as well, we teach a lot. We also absorb a lot, right? Like we invest in our own learning. And sometimes we can have a case of, just constantly doing shelf help. And, we learn it, we put it on the shelf and we go, yeah, I've learned it. But it's until you implement it, until you apply those learnings, you're not going to see those results. You can read as many books as you want until you put it into practice.
Right.
So I'm really big on, picking up 1 or 2 things that I learned from coaches and, people that I admire. Like I'm going to implement this, but I'm going to keep it as a consistent part of my day or part of my routine or part of my week.
Right, exactly. Which is why we talk about in the build framework. It's about implementation, guys, and you heard it here again from Ush. It's not about just knowing it or thinking about strategies. It's about implementing strategies and making sure that that happens and has the impact in your life.
Exactly, and then reassessing as well, right? Like, if it doesn't work, that's okay too, and drop it. So this isn't about keeping a routine. If it doesn't work, try something else. Try go for a walk. Try exercise. Do something that works for you. I think that's key too.
Great.
Yeah.
So write these things down. This is amazing information for everyone. We have BUI. Here's L, lead and inspire. How do you lead and inspire every day?
Definitely staying true to who I am and not worrying about what people think. I think, being trained as a lawyer, we're so almost ingrained to be a certain way.
Right.
And I remember,
Which is to argue your points and document everything.
Yeah, and I remember my partner at that time, he's like, you're constantly in like this cross-examination mode. And I'm like, I'm not, it's the way I've been trained to talk. God damn it.
This is a conversation.
Exactly.
Now give me your 3 points.
So I think, just, take away that conditioning and be you. And I think sometimes there's a lot of fear in dropping the mask. So it's a case of leading by being who you are and being authentic. I think one of the biggest things for me, which I've always struggled with, is balancing that masculine, feminine energy. That sort of that yin and the yang. And my personality is quite into that masculine energy. And I'm learning at the moment with a couple of really awesome coaches to balance that out a bit and, show a bit more vulnerability. And for me, it's, really being clear that showing vulnerability isn't a weakness.
Right.
If anything, it's really going to empower you. Right. It is. And, push through that discomfort. So if I'm coaching, I'm really quite vulnerable in saying that, I get it. I struggle with this myself, but we've got to push through these emotions and not hide from them. And then reminding people that you are not your thoughts and you are not your emotions. Emotions is just energy in motion. Just let it go. Right. Yeah.
I love that. And I'd love to dive a little bit deeper because we're leading and inspiring. This actually goes back to understanding the business too, but I would love to give the opportunity without, doing a full day keynote speech, which I know you can do, but just, the whole topic of emotional intelligence, right? And just kind of the Reader's Digest version, I guess, for our listeners about really what it's about, right? And what are the key elements they can take away from today to help lead and inspire them to have more emotional intelligence in their lives.
Yeah. So in a nutshell, it's being aware, self-aware. So really, really getting clear on what it is that you feel, and the key words are in the moment. So it's really going, how do I respond to situations around me and not react? Right. We've all had that thing that we go, I wish I hadn't done that, I wish I hadn't made that knee-jerk reaction, I could have handled it better. That's great self-reflection, but it's not self-awareness. It's about in the moment. And then once you understand yourself better and you've built on your EQ, you can understand the people around you as well. You'll pick up on how people feel, even in the non-verbal cues, And the moment you pick that up and you're better aware of what's going around you, you're going to be a better leader.
Right.
You're going to be able to inspire more. You're going to be able to connect more. You're going to be able to have those undiscussables and those tough conversations that need to be had.
Yeah.
And you're going to do it with empathy, and you can do it with compassion and kindness.
Amazing. Is there a practice or a way that people can try to bring this into their lives that you would recommend?
For EQ?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think, the main thing is just ask yourself, how you're feeling at moments during the day. I think, we tend to do that at the end of the day. Yes. Either in the shower or laying in bed.
Right? Hindsight, right?
In hindsight, yeah. And one of the biggest things I got when I was being trained was I was taught to do it 8 or 9 times a day. Literally in the moment, I'd set like 8 or 9 alarms on my phone at random times during the day. And when that alarm pinged, I'd have to literally stop what I'm doing and go, well, what am I feeling? And it was really hard because what you're going to do is you're going to name the emotion. And for the first week, I kept going pissed off, shitty, frustrated, hangry. I don't think hangry is an emotion, but hey.
Sure.
Yeah. And then we realized that as we get deeper into our self-awareness, we're able to articulate what that emotion is. And if you want to go a little bit deeper than that, let's say you have an emotion of anger.
Right.
You got to go,
what's
why?
Underneath it?
What's underneath it? Exactly. What's that layer underneath it?
And we know it's sadness.
Yeah. Is it humiliation? Is it, disempowerment? Like, what is causing that anger?
Exactly.
As opposed to going, yeah, I'm just angry.
Right. Cool.
Yeah.
Great.
So it's really trying to understand where that's coming from. And then the last point I just want to mention, I touched on it earlier, but is that you are not your emotions. So, don't define yourself as I'm an angry person. You are an amazing, unique person that has the emotion of anger, probably a lot more than you want.
Right.
But that's okay.
Right. Just become aware of it, and then you can do something about it.
Yeah. And
by surrendering, right?
By surrendering.
Do they need to get a tattoo of
I'm going to so get it.
Okay, right. But they don't need to get a tattoo.
They should.
They should. Okay, all right. Well, maybe you can. Right. Right.
And think of it as actors on a stage. I think that's something that really helped me to sort of move through the emotions and not sit in it. So if you're sitting back, you're looking at a play, act 1, scene 1, you're going to get different characters, right? Those characters are going to move off the stage. You're going to go into, act 1, scene 2, and different characters are going to come. How boring would that play be if you had the same characters playing the same roles, right? So it's okay that you've got these different emotions. Some of them you're going to connect with, some of them are going to bring discomfort, some of them you're going to want to run from. Embrace it, sit back, watch the show, and go, it's an awesome show.
Great.
Like the Build Show.
Oh, there you go. And I felt led and inspired with that on emotional intelligence. So thank you very much for that leading and inspiring example.
Thank you.
And moving finally into D, deliver excellence. So what does excellence even mean to you? And then how do you ensure you deliver excellence every day?
Yeah, so for me, delivering excellence is going above and beyond what that person expects of me.
Right.
Not always in a I'm going to give more time way, or which I will, but in a way that's probably going to throw them off, in a way that's going to challenge them, in a way that with love, I'm going to say what they need to hear.
Right.
And I think for me, that's excellence, because sometimes you need to hear the things that you don't want to hear. And providing you can say it with heart and with love, and get them to understand it.
And not as an attorney, you mean? Not as a closing argument?
No, that's gone. And I call it as watering. So, words have a lot of power. You can say it with, a way that's going to cut them and hurt them, or you can say it in a way that's going to nurture them and make them grow. And then hold that space for them. So delivering excellence is really holding that space and not going into, I want to fix you and save you mode. Because the moment you do that, you disempower them, right?
Yes.
You got to go, this is going to be really hard to hear, but I'm going to help you through it, and I'm going to sit here and help you get through this, and hold that space.
Yeah.
So for me, that's about excellence, delivering excellence.
Exactly. And we talk about those being the best coaches who don't give answers ever, right? They facilitate you discovering the answer within yourself, because it's already within all of us, right?
Best
so
coaches are dumb, right?
Space. Exactly. There you go.
We just know how to ask the right questions. That's about it.
Right. You facilitate that space.
Yeah.
Great. So, are there any other words of wisdom or things that you think are important to share to our listeners today?
Yeah, I think just really embrace the journey of getting to know yourself. I think we can run away from it the moment we feel change. And I find, sometimes people want to sit in discomfort because it's easier than to push through that terror barrier and change.
Right.
So I think the moment that you feel that resistance, pause if you must, don't retreat back into comfort, and go, I'm going to look at this dead in the eye and I'm going to push through, because I know that what's on the other side of this is going to be amazing.
How can people get a hold of you or reach out to you if they want to learn more about this amazing topic?
So I'm on eqacademy.com.au,
Great.
and I'm on LinkedIn and Instagram too.
Great.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, look, thank you so much
Thank
for being with us
you.
today. It's been such an
Thank
honor to have you
you.
here. And thank all of you for joining us here as well. For more great resources to help you become your best self, including free worksheets and downloads, make sure to check out thebuildframework.com. That's it for this episode. I'm JP. We'll see you next time on The Build Show.